Since the release of Monster Hunter World, the Nergigante Hunting Horn matchup has served as a proverbial battlefield for speedrunners. Heavy hitters like CantaPerMe, MaestroNox, and even Q would attempt to occupy the top spot of this hotly contested war zone. But all would fall to a sleeping giant who would go on to hold one of the longest standing hunting horn world records in Monster Hunter World's history, which would eventually be tied. Today, we will be taking an analytical look at two speedruns. My name is Griffted, and this is the road to a World Record Nergigante. Failed Attempt began posting speedruns to their YouTube channel in March of 2018, and as of this recording, the last upload was May 6th. During that short time, Failed Attempt posted 6 hunting horn speedruns, focused entirely on the Elder Dragons. Failed Attempt's second Nergigante run, posted March 19th, a respectable 243, shows them using the strategy pioneered by TSC, where they flashpull Nerg to the cave. Something to mention is that on March 22nd, shortly after that run, the hunting horn received the Deep Vero and the self-improvement buff. On April 4th, Failed Attempt posts his final Nergigante run, and this time we see them discard TSC's strategy entirely. Before the run begins, let's take a look at Failed Attempt's gear. They used the optimal Deep Vero build, at least for the time. We see Handicraft 5 because Draken didn't exist at that time, and Crit Boost 2 because Maximum Might was prioritized over Crit Boost when running Deep Vero. We see one Attack Augment and one Affinity Augment, Evasion Mantle and Affinity Booster in the equipment slot, and Failed Attempt's Palico was equipped with the Gajalaka Sword. The effective raw of this set is around 408. However, when standing in an Affinity Booster, the effective raw shoots up to 449. Failed Attempt begins by taking the 3 attack boosting consumables, Mega Demon Drug, Might Seed, and Demon Powder, before the cave entrance. He crawls through, then plays his songs in the optimal note order, utilizing the quick recital technique. On the way to Nergigante, Failed Attempt equips a Flash Pod and tosses on his Evasion Mantle, throws down the Affinity Booster, and takes a Might Pill. The opening, that is from the beginning of the quest to the first hit of Nergigante, takes around 39 seconds. The fight begins with a draw attack, triggering Nergigante's opening roar, which Failed Attempt rolls through, proccing Evasion Mantle. He rolls into Nergigante, which at first glance doesn't seem like good positioning, but is actually really good, and it's something I call the Nergigante angle. In Monster Hunter World, there's a sort of hidden tracking system for blunt weapons. Oftentimes you'll connect with the head of a monster even though you shouldn't have. Think of it like an auto-aim feature in a first-person shooter. The Nergigante angle is beneficial for a multitude of reasons, primarily getting a feeble hit on the first hit of the Super Slam. You see, a big part of this fight is breaking the white spikes with the strongest hit you have. In this case is the second hit of the Super Slam. But you can break white spikes with weaker hits, which in turn tanks your DPS and kills your time. Back to Failed Attempt's run. Failed Attempt procs Evasion Mantle off of the hind leg attack and punishes accordingly. Failed Attempt rolls into the monster, attempting the Nergigante angle again. He connects and causes another flinch. Take note, at this moment the quest has been going for a while, and Nergigante has just grown his first set of white spikes. Failed Attempt goes for a forward slam, hoping to get a break, but he doesn't. Luckily, he has enough time to roll the hind leg attack and proc Evasion Mantle again, with 2 songs stocked in his queue. He takes another Nergigante angle to punish. This time, instead of being on the inside of Nerg's legs, Failed Attempt takes an outside position. It still functions the same as being on the inside of the Elder Dragon's legs though. He gets the spike break here with the first hit of the Super Slam. Because he got the break while Nergigante was still technically in his flinched animation, the spike break and its toppling effect gets snubbed by the flinch animation. The fight moves forward with Failed Attempt continuing to use Nergigante angles, now with 3 songs socked in the queue. He finally gets a spike break topple at this moment, his first of the fight. He rolls away from Nerg, which is interesting. Maybe he wasn't expecting the break and it caught him off guard. Regardless, it's not a huge time loss, and Failed Attempt gets on the head. He then starts unloading the songs that he stocked up during the fight. Starting with the Super Pound in the forward recital, he roll cancels and sets up for another Super Pound, instead of going for an encore. Failed Attempt takes another evasion mantle proc here, goes for another super pound, aiming for the head but connecting with the legs. Coincidentally, he breaks the spikes and causes a topple, so it all worked out in his favor. Another super pound forward recital combo. This time Failed Attempt holds it, then unleashes a forward encore. Luckily, Nergigante grew spikes literally during the encore. Failed Attempt breaks them and causes another topple. Nerg is close to death and Failed Attempt knows it. He goes for 3 super pounds, cancelling each of them with a roll. I think a better option in this instance would be to use hilt stabs instead of rolling. Regardless, with a 3rd super pound, the fight concludes with a remarkable 158-31. Failed Attempt's efficiency with stocking songs in his queue, then using them at opportune moments, is one of the things about this run that I love. I also admire how effortless he makes it look. As we'll see in my run coming up, it's something I struggled with. Around September 14th or so, I began doing some runs for Nergigante. My prior personal best, a 258.20, came on April 20th, when I had first started my YouTube channel. So I thought after 5 or 6 months, it was time to get a new PB. Going over my build quickly, full Draken with Nergigante helm, pretty much a stock standard Deep Vero Draken build. What's interesting though, is my effective raw was 449, the same as Failed Attempt's effective raw when he stands in the affinity booster, which he did the entire fight. Knowing that I didn't need affinity booster and instead could use different pieces of equipment, it opened the door for creativity with the opening. I developed a flash pull strategy that utilizes Rocksteady Mantle to queue up the opening songs while fighting Nergigante, as opposed to playing the songs before the fight. I throw a flash pod on the ground, then lay 2 bombs. The flash pod causes Nerg to run to me. This is called the flash pull. I detonate the bombs with the draw attack, then begin queuing my songs. Because of Rocksteady Mantle, I'm uninterrupted by the opening roar, and whatever attacks Nergigante throws my way. My opening takes about 22 seconds to begin the fight. Take note that the white spikes have already begun growing on Nergigante's head much sooner than Failed Attempt's run. As soon as I'm done playing my songs, I equip Evasion Mantle. I roll this attack trying to get an Evasion Mantle proc, but unfortunately, it didn't work out like that. I dodged the hind leg attack and positioned for a Nergigante angle. Unfortunately, it was a bit too ambitious, and I don't connect with the head. I go for a bizarre forward slam here, which serves no purpose, and actually slows my song queuing down. The better option would be attempting a super pound. Regardless, I go for a super pound here on the following exchange. I take another Nergigante angle. This time I walk up a little to make sure I connect with the head. After a spike break topple, I get on the head and finally queue up a song, my first of the fight. As you can see, my song queuing has been much less optimal than Failed Attempt song queuing. My Palico gets a flinch, and I go for a bold super pound here, trying to capitalize on this opening. I'm actually aiming for the head, but I instead connect with the legs and break the white spikes, causing a very lucky topple. On the head again, I focus on queuing another song. 3 songs stocked in my queue now, finally. I roll this short charge attack to re-proc the Evasion Mantle buff. I take another Nergigante angle, I get a flinch, and go for a forward recital, hoping for a KO. A risky move that did not pay off. I roll the wind pressure, then the following roar, signaling Nergigante has entered his final stage. I aim for the legs with a super pound and get a topple. On the head again, I queue up another song. Finish with a super pound into forward recital combo, getting that knockout I was fishing for. I go for a super slam into forward recital and opt out of attempting an encore because I was scared of breaking white spikes. It pays off and I get a spike break on this forward recital. On the head, I super pound and utilize hilt stab cancelling, trying to squeak in more DPS, and I close out the fight with a 158-31, the same time as Failed Attempt. I know my sin in this run was poor song management. I didn't queue songs effectively to be certain, but apart from the ambitious forward recital in the beginning of the fight, I feel like I utilized my songs pretty well. I think more than anything, my opening carried me to this time. I love the idea of tying this world record down to the millisecond, and it's also crazy to have the same effective raw as Failed Attempt. I remember watching Failed Attempts run when it was first released and being completely inspired and devastated. Devastated because I knew I wasn't good enough to achieve that time. This record remained tied for over a month and only adds to the historic legacy of Failed Attempts' original run. And to Failed Attempt, I just wanted to personally say thank you, because even though you've only posted 6 speedruns, they've impacted me greatly. You have solidified a spot in the history of hunting horn speedrunners, and I hope you come back soon to body some world records, because you truly are the sleeping giant. To everyone else, thank you so much for watching, and as always, keep playing that sweet chin music, boys.